Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the JDW Sports Channel. This is, as you know, every weekly thing for us. It is just a This is just the Just Arrival podcast. It's me, Aaron, the Texan fan. That's my boy DJ Abcool, the Colts fan, and we're back once again, as we are every week, for this content of this rivalry we share. But as we get into it, it's been a fun few weeks. Texans finally got their first win. Colts got their first loss, but in the end, it's still isn't something we got to overreact about. It's just something that, it's going to happen no matter what with getting a first win, with it getting a first loss. But the first win looked kind of ugly. The first loss didn't look too ugly, but from a Colts fan, it looked a little ugly. But, we're going to start with which is the first win for the Texans, which is the Texans were at home at Energy Stadium last Sunday playing the Tennessee Titans, and they defeated them 26-0. Our second shutout in our entire history of the Texans organization. Our first shutout was back in 2010 against the Titans as well, which is funny as well. But overall, this game, especially when we talk about the offense, which we've been talking about all these weeks on this podcast, is this offense is anemic. If anybody saw the game or goes to look at the highlights of the game, we didn't do crap for three quarters. All we did was score 6 points. And then when the fourth quarter happened, that's when the offense decided to pick things up, especially from CJ, Nico Collins, that dog at running back, Woody Marks. Overall, when we move on from this game, I want to see more points in each quarter rather than, you're going into halftime up 6-0, which I don't want to see, especially against a Ravens team tomorrow. But, from your perspective, DJ, what do you think about, the offense with the amount of points they scored from the first half to the second half?
It definitely wasn't that bad. I mean, I would say the Texans offense, they did a, solid job of definitely, dominating, right?
Mm.
Dominating up front. Well, not exactly dominating up front. You said 6-0 in the first half. And
Yeah.
of course, looking at this game, looking it down on the numbers here, Nico Collins, 4 for 79. He did a pretty solid job. Didn't get his touchdown, but Woody Marks, like you said, a dog, a
Yeah.
beast, 4 for 50 and a touchdown. You add that up to like Christian Kirk, who was 3 for 20. And,
Mm-hmm.
you got that guy to be your wide receiver too. It's interesting to me how, your offensive coordinator isn't really using Christian Kirk that
Yeah.
much because he is a guy that you made a move for. You do want to see him get more catches in a game. Xavier Hutchinson, 2 for 17. Obviously you had Nick Chubb, 13 for 47. And the Titans, of course, we all know that the Titans are really good at stopping the run. And that's something that they definitely did this game because Nick Chubb
Mm.
was 3.6 to carry. So,
Yeah.
he didn't really get that much on the ground. But other than that, I did feel like the Texans still did a pretty solid job on the offensive side for the most part.
Yeah. Overall, when you talk about the run game with the Titans run defense, they are good, but then there's the other side of the ball, which is our run our run offense is pretty just mid at best because we don't know who we're really having as our running back one. But going into these next few weeks, we still don't know what's happening with Mixon. It's just hush hush with how Mixon's doing. So honestly, he might be out for the whole season. Who knows? It honestly reminds me of the Astros this season with Yordan Alvarez. They just kept it hush hush as to when he was coming back, and nobody knew. So with Mixon, it's like, okay, well, I guess we're just gonna wait to see when he comes back, but we're not gonna be mad about it because we see potential in this potential running back one, which is Woody Marks, our rookie that we drafted out of USC, and he looked good in his first game, even though he wasn't starting. But he was just a key factor between him and Chubb, and you can see that they love Woody Marks now, and he just might get more touches tomorrow, which I do not mind because that boy has the vision. He knows where to make his cuts, and I believe he can be, running back one as we'd love to see. But when it comes to the offensive line, they protected the hell out of CJ. There were a good amount of pressures, but they only allowed 2 sacks. One was on CJ. He tried getting out of the pocket, making a play happen, but just held on to the ball too long. And another, I'm sure everybody saw it, was CJ was under center, ready to do play action. Jeffrey Simmons did the quickest swim move in under 1 second and sacked CJ right as he hiked it. And everybody's like, what the hell just happened? And yeah, I understand you can blame the offensive line, but that was just a great swim move by Jeffrey Simmons, the all-pro defensive tackle. And at the end of the game, D'Amico was talking to Jeffrey Simmons, when everybody crowds up and all that. everybody's like, "Oh hell, here we go. He's trying to get him to come to the Texans," and I'm like, I wouldn't mind that because if you have Jeffrey Simmons, Will Anderson, and Daniil Hunter, that's a Super Bowl defensive line. But overall, the rest of the offense, when it comes to wide receivers, a lot of them need to make. I hope Nick Caley can make more plays for the receivers. Jaden Higgins only had one catch, but that was a 24-yard touchdown. But that was just because of a pretty much almost dead call because the Titans defensive end, he jumped too early, but they didn't call a flag, so they didn't know what to do. CJ hiked it, dumped it off to Jaden Higgins, touchdown. But overall, the offense, they look great in the fourth quarter. It's just the past three quarters, they just need to do better. And that's pretty much it. It's just hopefully tomorrow when it comes to playing the Ravens, they are missing a lot of pieces defensively. As I said before this episode started, they're missing Marlon Humphrey. They're missing Nate Wiggins, defensive tackle Matabuke. They're missing Marlon Humphrey, Roquan Smith at linebacker, Kyle Van Noy. Then it just the list goes on for that defense. But the thing is with the Ravens, it's no matter who they have on that team, Harbaugh will make them have that energy to make that they want to win. They're not going to just sit down. They're not going to just let an offense score on them. So when it comes to this offense, they can't just sit on their ass scoring only 6 points before halftime because, on the other side of the ball, yeah, they got Cooper Rush at quarterback, but Cooper Rush isn't somebody you just be like, oh, it's whatever. No, he can still make a play happen. They still have their wide receivers that are healthy, like Zay Flowers, DeAndre Hopkins, Rashad Bateman, all of them, especially Derrick Henry. We got to make sure we stop Derrick Henry. We saw what they did against us last year on Christmas. Derrick Henry was killing us. But when it comes to our defensive side of the ball, like I said, we shut out the Titans last week, which is a crazy factor for any team to do, which is shutting out a team. That it's hardest thing to do, no matter if the other team's offense is crap, which the Titans did look like crap. But the defense side of the ball, they looked great last week. Cam Ward was struggling. He got picked off, once. But overall, this defense, I have no issues with it. They've been honestly doing better as each week has led up to each game. So they know what they're doing wrong. They know what they're doing right. And that's why I feel confident in tomorrow's game with this defense.
Yeah, and as you should, I think that the Texans, this is a game that they realistically should win, right? I mean, with Lamar Jackson out, you can really hope that the Texans defense can take advantage of that, especially Cooper Rush playing. Cooper Rush, plenty of experience, right? We know what he can do. He can sling it. He has, he definitely is a backup quarterback. You can definitely tell based off, how he plays, his stats. He's definitely not the guy you put in the starting position, but here we are, right? Cooper Rush is going to be the starting quarterback versus the Houston Texans. I'm more confident. I would say the Houston Texans defense should be able to slow down that offense in the Ravens, especially with Cooper Rush at quarterback. But I do worry about that Texans offensive line. Of course, like you were saying, Roquan Smith isn't going to be there, but the Ravens, they still find a way. That defense, it's always weird how the Ravens defense just manages to show up despite their injuries. But of course, I think if the Texans can overcome some of the offensive struggles, there is a world in which the Texans should win this football game. And I believe that they should, right? I do have them winning this football game. I think it's going to be a little tighter than people expect. Just because of the talent on the Ravens offensive side. The defense, they still have some guys on that secondary that might play that I feel like could give the Texans some troubles. But I will have the Texans winning. I think the Texans are going to win. I'm going to give them 24-20.
Okay. Honestly, I was going to maybe go – I was either going to say 20 or 21, but I'll say 21 to 13. Yeah, I'll go 21 to 13. Just it's going to be closer than it should be. Our offense it's no matter what year we've been in with this organization, we've always struggled when we go to Baltimore. It's no matter what, we never look good in Baltimore. But overall, this will be a great game. It'll be a tight game, and if anybody's seen the records, we're both 1-3, so it's a fight to see who gets their second win. Because right now, these are two teams that were regarded in the offseason as Super Bowl contenders. And you look at the teams now; they're both 1-3. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like whoever wins this game, this is a must-win game. And whoever loses are gonna have to regain their composure, regain everything to make sure their season ends the way they want it to end. Like with the Ravens, even if they lose tomorrow, they'll still be in second place because Bengals are trash, Browns are trash, Steelers are in first, but they can fall off. But pretty much all that happens is just winning this game, seeing who's going to win this game, and making sure you take advantage with these wins, especially being in tough divisions like the way Texans are, with Colts on top at 3-1, Jaguars on top at 3-1, and I hope Jaguars start losing. Especially me wanting to root on the Chiefs for the Chiefs to beat them, but I hate the Chiefs. But yeah, overall, overall when it comes to this game, it's gonna be a great game. And like I said, I got the Texans winning 21-13. Yeah, but as we move on, we're going to the Colts side of the ball with the Colts loss against the Rams. How did you feel about that game? I saw everything that happened with that game. To me, I saw a lot of ups, but then of course there was those few downs, like AD Mitchell. But overall, how did you feel about this game overall?
Well, I mean, you know what they say. You're an AD Mitchell away from winning a football game. And this is one of those games. AD Mitchell fumbled away a touchdown, as sure everyone knows. Adonai Mitchell fumbled away a touchdown, barely about to go past the goal line and just the ball slipping out of his hands. He tried to swap hands, like trying to flex that he got a touchdown. It's his first tutty. But it's just so unfortunate the way it happened. And that's the Adonai Mitchell experience in a nutshell. That's just it. Adonai Mitchell is talented, but man, he was 3 for 96 on the box score. And if he would have had that touchdown, he would have been over 120 plus. He would have probably had four catches, for over 130 yards. And then Adonai Mitchell would have been credited for the Colts winning this football game. I think if he gets that touchdown, this would have been a whole different football game. Adonai Mitchell getting that holding call when Taylor had that big 50-yard run as well. So the Colts realistically should have had 34 offensive points in total, and the Rams only had 27. Of course, they had that Tutu Atwell touchdown where the Colts had 10 men on the field. As a defense, you can't just do that. That's unacceptable. And I feel like the Colts, I don't know how you feel about this, Aaron, but I feel like the Colts kind of just beat themselves. I feel like the Rams, they are a Super Bowl contending NFC team. But the Colts overall just beat themselves. I feel like they really let this one go.
Yeah, no, overall, it from what I saw, it was the Colts shooting themselves in the foot, tripping over themselves. AD Mitchell was a key factor. The interceptions by Daniel Jones was a key factor. But overall, when it comes to looking as good as y'all did against the Rams, of course, some people will say, oh, they didn't look good. They look good against a team, as you said, is looked at as a Super Bowl contender this year because they look good. They look like the Rams are deadly when it comes to the offensive side with Matthew, with Puka, with Kyron Williams. And Devontae Adams. And then you got their defensive side of the ball. You got just that whole team, especially under McVay. They look good. They look like they can make a run if the playoffs started right now. So when it comes to the Colts facing them, it was kind of an even matchup in a way because the Colts are bringing themselves up. They know who they are with the offensive side of the ball so far when using JT, when Daniel Jones is passing the ball to Michael Pittman, to AD Mitchell, to Josh Downs. So it was kind of an even factor type game. It was just more of who's going to score first, who's going to stop who, and who might trip over themselves, which happened to be the Colts. And I think it's maybe I couldn't even say it's due to experience. It's more of just the moments in the game that just killed them, which of course was like the AD Mitchell fumble in the end zone, the AD Mitchell holding call on that great run, and of course the 10-man on the field. Of course, that's on coaching, but it's also on players not communicating correctly as they should have, or even said, "Hey, we only got 10 people. Call a timeout if we want to really get somebody on the field that quick," because they might call a play hike the ball real quick. Because Matthew Stafford is a Hall of Fame quarterback, they will do that to you. We'll hike the ball quicker. But as I said, this is a game against a great team like the Rams. If nobody saw that Thursday night game with the Rams and 49ers, that looked like a damn Super Bowl matchup between Shanahan and McVay. I was just blown away by how great that game was. So that's why I say Rams are on that top tier level of teams this year. They might have got their their loss on Thursday, but they're still in that top tier level of teams this year. And to me, Colts are like right there below them, like ready if they got to face them again. Because I feel if they face them again, they will win. Like your defense did struggle a bit, but that's just because they have a great offense. Like it's you can't stop a moving train like that easy. But I feel like if they played again, I feel Colts would win because y'all, I feel y'all would know what to do. But overall, it's just key factors of this happened, that happened, and in general, that's what happened. So that's why I say, it is a tough loss, but I feel y'all will move on when facing tomorrow the Raiders. And the Raiders, they aren't that great offensively. Their defense has to hold them up too much. So that's why I feel Colts will take advantage tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, kind of recapping the Rams game a little more, Jonathan Taylor, Aaron, he only had 4.5. He had 4.5 yards per carry, and you won't believe it, but he only carried the ball 5 times in the first half. Only ran with JT 5 times. Shane Steichen, I mean, and it's the thing with Shane. I don't know if he's just bad situationally, but whenever I look at Shane Steichen, I feel like whenever he's in those pressuring moments and in those games that are very, you need to win or this is a very big game, right? He tends to kind of overthink things. And I think that's one of those things he overthought. I feel like he just wanted to pass it more on a Rams team. Yes, I get it. Their secondary isn't the best, right? It is their weak spot, right? You don't want to run the ball against a run defense that, is top 5 in the NFL. But at the same time, you do want to at least attempt it, right? You do want to attempt it against this Rams defense. You always want to set the run, right? Run the damn ball, right? There's a reason why that exists. You want to be able to test them, right? You at least want to try to run the ball. There was a lot of times that Rams defense was more spread out thin than anything else you've ever seen, and yet we're still passing it, right? We're not even trying to run it and trying to get easy yards that the Rams are giving us. So he had 17 for 76. Of course, he was going to have that long touchdown later, but my point being 17 carries total for this game wasn't enough, Aaron. And I think if you're going to go against these elite teams when it comes to like the Bills in the future, right, you can't just be trying to pass. I get it. Daniel Jones has shown he can be a good quarterback, but, you just got to go with that offensive player of the year candidate type of level in Jonathan Taylor and trust him to get you out and get you to win these type of football games.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand what you mean about the not using, especially your running back, the key factor of your offense, because that's how I felt sometimes when we used Mixon last year. There was only or even just our run game in general right now. Like what I said almost 2 weeks ago against the Bucks. Yeah, no, against the Jags. We only ran the ball 15 times between our two running backs with Chubb and Moody Marks. And when it comes to a football game, it's too much time for y'all to use your running backs, rush your running backs only 15 times. You got to rush them more. You can't just be like, oh, this defense is gonna know we're gonna just pass majority of the time because that's all we are as an offense. No, you got to make sure they know that the run game is a factor for y'all. No matter if the run game is looking good, you just got to let them know that you're gonna run when you get the chance. Not, oh, we're just gonna pass. I hope you're ready. So when it comes to the Colts, you gotta make sure you know that Taylor is back there, ready to run, ready to make the rock move. So it's just making sure you get, especially when it comes to the run game, you got to make sure you get your yardage. I mean, if it's first down, second down, yeah, of course, if it's third down and 8, you pass the ball. But first and second down are the key factors to run the ball. And you got to make sure your scheme is looking well for that defense not to understand what's happening. But when it comes to Daniel Jones, of course, he has his struggles because he's still to me a very good quarterback, but not elite just yet. But I feel he can get there because of your scheme, because of Steichen. And honestly, if the playoffs started right now, I feel y'all would go on a great run. Like I could see y'all getting to the AFC Championship. I'm not gonna lie, because the AFC isn't that great. Like it's not that great because of all the teams that have been playing. They all have struggles. All these AFC teams have struggles with their offensive line, and when it comes to your defense side of the ball, it will, of course, they do try to get as amount of pressure as they can. But, whenever you saw that game, it was Matthew Stafford having a good amount of time, but that's because the Rams have a very good offensive line. But if somehow the season ended right now, I would, of course, say Colts, make sure that offense is the way they are, maybe add another weapon. But I feel the offseason would go all the way to the defense, from adding more depth to defensive line, adding more secondary, just more amount of young guys for that defense. But overall, I feel like even after this first loss, it's still a bright future for the Colts. Like, this is a team that will shut people up, especially when it comes to these next few weeks, heading into the bye week and then heading into the second half of the season. But yeah, heading into tomorrow against the Raiders, and I believe you're at home, right?
Yeah. Colts are going to be at Lucas Oil.
Okay. Yeah. When it comes to facing the Raiders, as I said, Geno Smith isn't really the best quarterback ever. I believe y'all will pick him off because he has been picked off every game, I believe. And their defense is good, but it's tight that you can score on, as everybody saw last week when they played the Bears. The Bears, they had the lead, and the Bears took over with their offense. So yeah, to me, heading into this game, I see the Colts defense stopping them. Is just making sure they stop Genty, make sure they get under Geno Smith's head to pick him off, to turn the ball over. And when your offense is on the field, just score, and y'all need to score. Show what y'all wanted to show against the Rams. I know they're pissed off. Score as many as y'all want against the Raiders, because I believe that's what happened. And I believe Colts will get the W. And I'm gonna call it right now. I'm also gonna go 30-13. That's how confident I feel for y'all.
30-13. I mean, I can't blame you there. And responding to one of the people in the chat, yes, of course, you do want to pass the score, right? You do want to pass the score, but 5 carries in the first half, man, you cannot do that. That is way too less. Yeah. Again, that is unacceptable. You have to run the ball. When you have a guy like Jonathan Taylor, you got to get him 10 plus carries in a half, man. That is, I don't know. Yeah. But definitely this Raiders game coming up, though. I think the Colts should be able to win this football game. It's again, these next 2 games versus the Raiders and Cardinals should be win games for the Colts. You're going against 2 teams that, frankly, I think the Colts roster-wise are better than, and I think have more talent and are much more better as a team. And the Colts, this is one of those games, right, where you just got to dominate. You got to dominate up front, both sides. And the Colts, of course, Xavier Howard did retire. So now we're going to have to look at who's going to be that cornerback 2. So I'm interested to see how they rotate at the cornerback 2 position, see who's the answer today. Is it Jonathan Edwards? Is it Mickey Blackman? Or is it Chris Lammons, who recently got added back to the 53-man roster? So, again, you want to see who's the answer there. And then linebackers got to step up huge here. I'm looking at Zaire. I'm looking at Joe Bocci. I'm looking at that group right there to kind of step up and stop the run at the second level and then the first level as well with Buckner and Stewart. They handle business there. But the Colts, they should be able to dominate this game. I'm going to have kind of a similar score to yours. I'm going to say because of the defensive injuries, maybe it's a little close. But honestly, I think this should be pretty easy. Maybe it's close to the beginning, but I'm going to have the Colts winning here 28-10.
Okay. And it's because this is like recent news. When it comes to Colts fans, this is like off topic with the games. How do you feel about the retirement of Darius Leonard and what they plan on doing with him?
Retirement of Darius Leonard, it's going to be at halftime in the Raiders game. And damn, he had a heck of a career. I mean, Texans fans should know that, he pretty sure he gave you guys nightmares.
Oh, we know especially.
Yeah, he was just insane, man. It's just such a phenomenal player. I mean, you look at him, he was physical, right? Great in pass coverage, great in just reading offenses. You saw him go against Tom Brady once, and he was able to read one play. I remember Tom Brady threw a screen, and Darius Leonard was right there to shut it all down, right? It was a 3rd and 2, and he was able to get him for a loss of 2. So just a phenomenal player, incredible. I mean, just to, for him to step on that field, obviously he had the back injury in the end of his career, but now he's going to be able to retire a Colt. So I think that's an excellent opportunity, and hopefully the Colts can win in his honor. But as we're getting close to conclude, Aaron, any last words coming from you as a Texans fan? How are you feeling heading into this week?
Overall, it's make sure we get the W, and next week is our bye week. So when it comes to me as a Texas fan, if y'all don't know, on my channel, the HOU Bullcast, I will do next week for the bye week a quarterly report of the bye week, because there's not going to be much going on other than we finally get that break, making sure we bring back people that were on the PUP list, which will be Danico Autry, Jalen Reed, safety. But overall, it'll be a good timing bye week, but it's making sure we get this W first against a Ravens team that is injured, but they are the team that will beat you if they have to. If you're looking like you slowed down a bit, they will come back to win the game, and that's what scares me a bit when it comes to our offense. I feel it will be that type of game if we slow down the gas a bit. But overall, like I said, I believe we will get the W heading to the bye week. Adjust what we got to adjust for the second half of our season, and overall, that's pretty much it from me.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, that will be it for the Just Arrival podcast. Aaron, Texans, hopefully they can go down to Baltimore, beat the Ravens. The Colts need to dominate against the Raiders. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Have a good rest of your Saturdays.